First I want to, welcome everybody to this live with Sondra webinar. And this is also in collaboration with the Protect Group. And we have Morgan from the Protect Group here. I'm gonna let her introduce herself in just a moment. But first, just in case you need an introduction to me, I'm Sondra Shannon. I'm the CEO of Gatemaster Technology, the host of Live with Sondra. If you have not checked out the Live with Sondra show, and you are a customer, a partner of Gatemasters, or a friend of the industry, and you have something to share like Morgan's doing today, we would love to have you on the show. So I will make sure that we get that dropped in the link here, a link to that here, so that you have that. But without further ado, I would love to introduce Morgan. Morgan and I have known each other for quite a few years now. And for those of you who've been in the Gatemaster family for some time, you have seen the evolution of this type of product that we've had inside of the system, from our old insurance system to now what's happening with this integration and partnership with the Protect Group. So Morgan, would you mind just introducing yourself and the company and just kind of letting us know who you are and what you're about?
Absolutely. So I am Morgan Abney. I work for Protect Group. We offer a fantastic product called Refund Protect. I am a part of the partnerships and integrations team, but I used to be in sales and used to get to go to all these events with Sondra, which is how we met, which is absolutely fantastic. But here at Protect Group, with our product Refund Protect, we offer customers the option to pay a little extra money and have the ability to get a full refund in the event they cannot attend the events for unforeseen circumstances. So we're giving a lot of flexibility where many customers have not seen before. Yeah, we'll talk more on that today.
Yeah, and I know, Morgan, one of the things that we had talked about on one of the live shows that we did together earlier in the year was, why is this expected of our buyers today, or our guests that are going to be visiting these attractions? Why is something like this an expectation that they have today in today's world? Is it because post-pandemic? Is it something? I mean, I know that we were exploring these options prior to the pandemic. However, this became much more necessary after. But in your opinion, or just maybe even Protect Group's opinion, what's the driving force behind this, and why are buyers now expecting to see this in the shopping cart experience or in the purchase path?
Yeah, absolutely. You said it. I mean, COVID kind of changed the perspective of everybody in the world. We went through a big national epidemic, global epidemic, that affected us and the way that we view things and how businesses view their buyers. So customers now see that they feel like they have more rights. They should have more rights. Businesses should give them the ability to have an option to get a refund or to protect themselves in the event that they can't go. Everybody gets sick. The epidemic obviously has made us realize that anything can happen at any time. And this really just ensures the customers and businesses that they can, be protected, which is why we're pushing so hard on it, because we think everybody deserves that opportunity.
And what makes this different than, let's say, like an insurance policy? Because I think there's some confusion at times whether or not, the benefits of that, but then also, I have my own opinions on that, but I'm curious before I mention some of that, we might be aligned there. But, what is the difference between what's happening here with Protect Group and what we might see with some of the insurance policies that are being offered, like through IGA, and what we see on travel systems like Expedia? What makes this different than that?
Yeah, we have a fantastic customer experience team, and we have the ability to kind of decide a little bit further on circumstances than most insurances. As an insurance, you have certain policies that you have to abide by, and certain things that people can apply for a refund for. We have extreme emergency circumstances that we can look at individually and say, what, we think that this person deserves a refund. So we're going to offer it, even though if it's not one of the covered circumstances that are listed in our terms and conditions. But that kind of is a big thing that separates us, is we really want to ensure that if there is something going on in the customer's life that prevents them from going, we'll offer them a refund. A lot of insurance products don't really give that opportunity.
Well, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, what you're saying is like the underwriting process is not something that you put the customer through. You really look at them as an individual person, what their needs are, why they're asking for that refund, and deciding from that, is this the right thing to do for this client? And while, or this guest or this customer, however you want to refer to it, I know in different industries, primarily in the attraction space, we refer to them as guests, but how many of these, what I love about this is that you are humanizing the experience. At the same time, the attraction gets to keep their money.
Right, right.
Would you talk a little
So
bit about that?
absolutely. So the way that our product works is the customer pays a little bit of extra money. They get the opportunity for a full refund, and then we refund the customer on behalf of the theme park. So the theme park gets to keep the revenue regardless, and the customer gets their money back. So it's a win-win for both sides. And it's a revenue generating opportunity as well, which is fantastic for a lot of businesses who are giving the opportunity for customers to have a full refund, showing that they care, as well as maintaining their business.
I know one of the questions that I keep getting from Gatemaster attraction partners is, well, we have a no refund policy, right? And which is fair. I mean, every business should, in my opinion, I take it for what it is. I believe that every business should be able to make decisions about their policies and how they want to operate their business and how they want to have their customers handled. In this case, with Protect Group, what I really like about this is that it actually is a ideal partnership for somebody who has a no refund policy.
Right, right, exactly. I think what Stacy Zill actually said was, what are you doing to stay like top of mind? As far as like marketing, obviously most businesses are only thinking about what happens to the customer when they're inside the park. What's the experience inside the park? But they're not thinking about the experience for the customer previously. So when a customer goes through, obviously they understand there's a no refund policy, but when you've saved up all this money and you're going to take your entire family to go see this park and they're super excited about it and they can't go, they're not thinking about the experience for that customer. We understand that there's policies like that and they stay in place. They protect their money, and then adding a product like this gives those families the opportunity to actually have a refund because they could be higher risk. You never know with traveling with families, anything like that. There's always going to be things that could disrupt the experience. So this gives a chance for all the attractions to show that they care about their customers while maintaining their policies.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. This is you guys, this is part of why that we decided to work with Protect Group, because we understand, we see in the data the types of investments that the guest is making when they choose to come to your attraction. And especially, I'm a mother of family of 5, 3 kids. I understand that investment firsthand because I am also a consumer of these products and these experiences. And when you make an investment like that, you don't know. I mean, it seems like to me, every time I would schedule something big, of course, one of my kids would get sick, especially when they were young. Every single trip, somebody got sick, right? And maybe it's the stress of travel. Maybe it's the stress of the idea of traveling. Maybe it's the stress that I had just getting them ready for that. And then they're sick. They're very much affected by the mom's mental state, right? So it's very stressful to take a family of 5 out anywhere. And, oftentimes, like I said, one of them would get sick. And you don't want that mom having to drag a sick kid to a water park or a theme park when you have even if you have a no refund policy. Again, this humanizes that experience and gives them another option if that was important to them. And it's optional. The customer has an option. They can opt in or out.
Absolutely. It is optional because if, at the end of the day, if you don't want it, just select no. And then the policies of the park remain in place. But this also kind of helps parks and customers secure purchases because families feel more comfortable knowing that in the event something happens, they've got this backup plan. They can get their money back because they have a valid reason. So it secures purchases earlier. It allows flexibility. Customers feel happier purchasing, knowing that they have that backup plan. So I think it creates peace of mind, especially making plans involving families.
Well, what I think is interesting is in the overall like industry data, when we talk about like even insurance policies for travel, we see a higher conversion on sales further out, right? People
Hmm.
talk about dynamic pricing, and I want to talk a little bit about the dynamic pricing tool that you've built in here. People talk a lot about dynamic pricing because essentially what you're doing is you are getting people to purchase further in advance. We see that with this product as well, is
Hmm.
that when somebody feels like the purchase is protected, they feel more comfortable about purchasing further in advance. And
Right.
because of that, they're not waiting till the last minute. They actually might be able to get a discounted rate for their family, which is going to make them pleased, because with dynamic pricing or maybe advanced purchase pricing or day pricing, we offer different
Hmm.
things. But, I think that's, I know that the statistical industry data shows that when a customer has that peace of mind, we will see advanced purchases more. So
Absolutely.
this is another reason why this is a deciding factor for this partnership and why we felt this was important. Not to mention, we have parks who are asking for this. Can you tell us a little bit about like the trends that we're seeing with with some of these bigger enterprise, big brand theme parks,
Hmm.
water parks that are using this system, these types of systems, and why that's important for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you go on to like Six Flags or Cedar Fair or these big, big, big names, you'll see that there is an option for purchase protection because they see the value and customer experience. When you're spending $80 a ticket and you have six people in your family, you're gonna want to purchase, maybe $10, $20, $30 more and secure your purchase and feel comfortable having that peace of mind that you could get your money back because kids, you know, they have germs. Unfortunately, they're in school, they're around all their friends, they're around other things, and they're exposed to so much that the majority of people who are going to theme parks and attractions are families, and so they're seeing the value and they want to show how much they care about their customers and adding a product like this. And so when you're going to these big name companies and seeing that this is an option and you're loving the experience and you get your money back when you've had something unforeseen happen, you're like, okay, I do want to go back to that place. I do like the way that I was treated. I got my money back. They saw me as an actual person, not just a dollar sign. So when you've got these smaller parks that they're going to, they're not only going to remember, the experience that they had that was absolutely wonderful, but they'll remember a bad experience that they had as well. That's just like if you go somewhere to a bad restaurant, you're probably never going to go back to a restaurant if you had bad food or a bad experience. It's the same thing with the theme parks and attractions industry. If you have a bad experience before, you're probably going to not visit again. And you want repeat customers. You want people going to your park. You want people enjoying every aspect of it, even before they get to the park. So I think that's why this is such a big trend in the theme park and attractions industry, just because it's a big thing, kind of in every industry now. It's being expected. It's really putting the customer first.
Well, and I want to make it clear, it's not just illness. I mean, we're talking
Yeah.
death, right?
Mhm. Yes,
Heaven forbid
absolutely.
anybody has to experience that, but that is a reality of what some people are dealing with. So we're
Yes.
talking death, we're talking active military duty. What
Mhm.
are some of the other reasons why a refund would be necessary beyond those three examples? I know you've got a whole lot of them, but I'm just curious for
Oh, yeah.
clarification.
Absolutely. So, I mean, work relocation. So, if your family needs to relocate and you were planning on going to a park and you can't go anymore, obviously, we would refund for that. Like you said, military, we've got accident and injury. So, if broke your legs and you can't go, then obviously we'll refund for that as well. We've got all sorts of terms and conditions, and I can actually share that as well. When we post the recording. But yeah, absolutely. Anything that is unforeseen that happens, if you get an accident on your way to the park and you can't make it, then that's something that we would refund for. Say you were flying in from out of town and there was a weather disruption. So your flight can't take off and you can't make it. And so you've missed that 1 day pass and it's not an everyday pass, then we would refund for that. So there's all these different reasons that we would refund for. Like you said, if in the event of death, it's not only a relative, if you have a pet death, that's something that we would refund for. It's really just anything that unforeseen circumstances that would cause you not to attend the event. But yeah, so there's all sorts of things that we look at and want to refund for. We want to give people refund. We want to have a great experience for the customer.
Which actually makes me think of another thing, with regards to what's being protected in this, with at least with the relationship with Gatemaster. I don't know how it is with some of the others, but we're protecting everything in that cart.
Mhm.
So if that is a meal voucher, if it's a cabana rental, what are some of the other things that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that the sky's the limit pretty much, as long as it's in that cart that has been protected. The dynamic
Absolutely, yeah.
pricing tool recognizes all of that. And maybe tell us a little bit about the dynamic pricing tool. What is the variables that are involved in that decision and what the pricing looks like?
It depends on what's passed to us for as far as like information, but just going back to what you were saying previously before the dynamic, yeah, anything that is included in the cart, that's what we'll cover for. So meal vouchers, if you've purchased like a t-shirt or something before that you would pick up at park and you can't make it, if you've purchased extra water bottles, if you've purchased, fast passes, anything that is in the cart is being protected and will be refunded. But you have to think that merchandise that was bought before, you'll also retain that revenue. So you're getting the full basket total is going to be protected. So the park is protected and also the customer is protected. And then as far as dynamic pricing goes, we look at all the different values. So we look at the total cost of the cart. So that's going to affect the price of the protection cost, as well as how far out are they booking, how many people. So that's going to create a higher risk. So it just kind of depends, but we're really looking at the most optimal price for the customer to opt in. So if we're seeing that, 10 customers have selected no on this price, then we're going to drop the price because it's obviously not what the customer is wanting. So we're looking for the best price for the customer as well as the best price for the business, for the parks, for everybody to have the highest conversion rate.
That's awesome. I love that. For our attraction partners that are watching this right now, what would you say? What do they have to do?
Attraction partners don't really need to do anything. This is all ran by us. So in the events that a customer goes to the attraction and says, "Hey, I purchased this on your site. What do I do?" All they need to say is, "You got a booking confirmation email. Just click the link in the booking confirmation email, and the rest we take care of." That's it. So just direct them to that booking confirmation email, and we will handle the rest. We're happy to talk to the customer. We're happy to take care of all of that ourselves. So it's really no risk to the park.
And I guess the other thing that we can say, which I love because it's aligned with our mission of helping attractions massively succeed through improved guest satisfaction, innovative technology, and legendary service. That's a mouthful, but that is our mission. And what I love about this, the next thing that I want to mention, which is totally aligned with that mission that we have, is the revenue that it's also creating, the cash value that the attractions receive once these purchases have been made by their guests. So there is a profit share for them. And if anybody out there is interested in what that looks like and how that's being handled, you can reach out to anybody on our team and we'll help you understand what that looks like. But I love that piece because not only are we looking at protecting their revenue, and can I mention something that is probably a side note to what you're doing? When a customer chooses no on a no refund policy and then tries to dispute that charge, we at Gatemaster are also able to provide that confirmation to the park so that they can handle any chargebacks that they're receiving from a customer who look, chargebacks are super annoying. Every business has to deal with it. I have part of our decision making in wanting to offer something like this was not only protecting their revenue, but protecting their business as a whole. Because when a customer says, okay, no, I'm not going to protect this, and they do a chargeback because they can't show up, we can then show that report that they opted out of that protection, and that actually better arms the attraction with what they need to fight those chargebacks. So in addition to that, I
Absolutely.
just want to mention that if that's something that you need help with, you just need to mention that to your customer success team here at Gatemaster. We'll get you set up with what you need to do to be able to find those values, that data, so that you can use that in the event that happens. So this is another reason why we did this. It was not just to humanize this experience, because we know life events are going to happen and we need to take care of people. We need to take care of each other, right? This is ultimately what we're doing by allowing people to have an option to get a refund, but also protecting the revenue of the parks and attractions that are working with Gatemaster right now by making this move. In addition to
Absolutely.
that, protecting their revenue through having more data that they can use to fight chargebacks. I mean, I have parks that have reported chargebacks as high as $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. And this tool has been used both with Protect Group and with prior partners to fight those chargebacks. So can you imagine just having an extra 50 grand simply because, you had the data that you needed to support the dispute? So I
Absolutely.
want you to know we're thinking big picture here, not just about what we're doing for your guest. We're thinking about, what we're doing to support your finance team. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
It
love
just
that it's
adds,
Protect Group, right? It's protecting the
yeah.
revenue.
It just adds that extra layer of protection for businesses as well. Like you were saying, it does give the credit card companies to see the customer did have an ability for a refund opportunity. They selected no, so they went through the purchase path. So they knew they were buying it. There's no reason to do a chargeback. So this is just more evidence provided. So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, and I think on our side, you said there's not much that the attractions need to do. On our side, if you would like to have any of the language or verbiage adjusted to match or fit your policies, that's just to reach out to somebody on your support team, right? Reach out to them, let them know that, I want to be more aligned with this, if that's even necessary, because we are presenting them with as much information that they would need to take advantage of the protection, right? But of course, in the purchase path experience, there are points of contact that you have with your guests that you might want to have adjusted the language to be more aligned with that. Or maybe you just want to better enforce that no refund policy, so we drive people to the protection versus a chargeback in the event that they have one of these life events. Because you know what, we see that when you look at why people charge back, look, there are nefarious reasons why people charge back, right? That's always going to exist. You have to fight those. It's dispute that is happening. But there are also people who just have these life circumstances and they decide to do a chargeback. I had
Right.
a client during 2020 who, when they decided to shut the state down again, got a gazillion chargebacks, and their credit card, their credit card processing was shut down because it was flagged as there's only a certain amount. I don't know if the people who are watching this right now understand this, but you are only allowed a certain amount of chargebacks before the fraud department of the credit card companies, and this is on the national level. This is not something we have control over before you get flagged for that. So this is important that you offer things like this, because we're actually preventing chargebacks. You don't want, I think it's like, I think the number was like 20% of charges. Once you reach around 20% of charges, start hitting chargebacks, you could lose credit card processing for life. Luckily, we've not had a customer have that except for during the pandemic. And it was out of their control. And we did help advocate for that, right? Help that customer advocate for what they needed. We were able to get them back online because we could prove it was not fraud, that it was the state was shut down. And rather
Right.
than call the attraction, the customers filed for chargebacks. So it was just an unfortunate circumstance of the pandemic. But what it did bring to our attention is that we need to prevent this.
Hmm.
So
And I like the fact that you said rather than call the attraction as well. So rather than calling the attraction an event where they do have a circumstance that they is completely unavoidable, they don't need to call the attraction. They don't need to worry about messing with the customer experience team and them saying, no, it's a no refund policy. All they need to do is go to the booking confirmation email and fill out the application that is pre-populated for them. So it makes it so much easier. There's a 2-minute refund process for the customer. It's submitted with evidence, and then that's it. So it's actually takes some relief off of the customer experience team, from all of, I'm sure they get calls all the time like, let me see if I can, work a way around the policy. Instead of upsetting customers saying no, 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 it's a no refund policy, this gives them the opportunity to make customers happy, and then we get to facilitate that on their behalf, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic because the truth is a lot of these parks need to buy back some of that time.
Right.
Right. We're not getting into the conversation. You guys got to join my live show to get into the conversation about staffing and all of that, because we do talk about that on the show. But that's one of the common things that is being mentioned throughout the industry is some of the staffing issues that are happening. Right. This is why automation is important. Right. We're automating some of that and buying the parks back their time so they can focus on what they need to do, and that's providing these great experiences for these families and just individuals who are coming to their attractions. So I really appreciate that insight there, because you're right. Not only is there revenue being generated for the parks, are we protecting the investments of their guests, but we're also offsetting some of the labor and time needs that are being, the time demands that are being put on them right now when they're having to deal with these life experiences that their customers are having. So we can just funnel that over to Protect Group in the event that they purchase that.
Absolutely. And it doesn't cost the parks any money. So this is the best part, is it's a partnership and it's only generating revenue. The parks aren't having to pay for our service or anything like that. So I think that's what's really great as well, is they're getting time back. They're getting additional revenue. Customers are happy. Their reputation is going to be increased as well. So it's going to kind of create an enhanced reputation for them really caring about their customers, not only at the park, but before they even get there. So I think that's fantastic.
Well, and then let's be real, for those attractions that are watching, like all of you are making purchases, right? Everybody's making purchases online. At least you better if you're using Gatemaster, because you know how this stuff works. But everybody's making purchases online, but how often are you asked to protect that item in the event that it's broken? Or when you're going to travel, protect your investment. Maybe you want to add protection for the rental cars. Everyone is being asked this today because this is what customers are demanding of us. So for us to stay innovative, to stay ahead of what customers want, this is an opportunity for them to provide that for their clients or their guests. I know you have a few more things you want to talk about. Did we miss anything?
We've covered so much, but I think any questions that, your parks are having that they want further information on our product or how to handle situations, just please contact me. I'm happy to help. You can either message me on LinkedIn, or I can provide you with my email through Sondra. So anything that we can possibly do to help, we would love to make a fantastic partnership and make everybody happy as well as their customers. So yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, Morgan. I actually do think we have a couple of attractions here that might have questions. We also have attractions who submitted questions that could not be here today. Ariana, I don't know if you're leading that, but let's go ahead and take those questions real quick.
Yeah. If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Okay.
So it looks like we have one. Go ahead, Ariana. I'm gonna let you take this.
No worries. So how does Refund Protect integrate with existing systems?
So we are actually already integrated with Gatemaster, which is fantastic. So all they need to do is contact Gatemaster and say, we want this on our site, and that can be turned on. So it's a simple fix.
Well, and I think it's as easy as, there's a few configuration tools that we have to set up to get it on the site. And then it's pretty much the switch of a button once those configuration tools have been put in place. So it's very simple. It's fully integrated. We're ready to go. This is not anything that you have to worry about. It's available to you right now. Any other questions?
Any others? let me
That was a
see.
great
I know that
question.
there's been a lot of discussion so far. Um, how does the claims process work is another question.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, like I said, there's a booking confirmation email. There's going to be a link that is specific to the customer and their booking reference number. So when they click that, it'll auto-populate their information. They'll just have to fill out a few more specific things, like their, their email should be on there, obviously, because they've got the booking confirmation email. But a few other just specific things that we'll need, and then they'll provide the evidence, the reason that they cannot be there, and then they submit it. Once it's approved, they just submit their bank account information and it gets paid to them directly. It usually takes about, on average, 4 hours to get a response back, but 24 hours for the full process. So it's pretty quick.
And you mentioned it's like 2 minutes to submit. And what kind of documentation? I mean, just high level, is it doctor's notes, maybe an accident
Yeah.
report? Like, is it just whatever
Yeah.
supports the claim?
Yeah, whatever support you can provide. If there is evidence that you don't have and it needs to be elevated, then you can talk to our customer service team as well. And we'll talk to them through email and specifically on what's going on and how we can understand the situation, why evidence can't be provided, and what we can do to help, and to offer that refund.
I mean, you mentioned something as generous as a pet bereavement, right?
Right.
Pet passing away. I'm sure that sometimes that's a hard one to provide evidence, but you can have a conversation. And
Yeah.
again, we're just humanizing this experience for people, because I don't know about you, I got a lot of pets, got a lot of kids and a lot of pets at home. And, the loss of a pet is definitely a reason why I would be limited to travel or even attend a park. Who wants to go to a theme park when their best friend just passed away, right? Like, let's be
Oh,
real, in real
absolutely.
life situations. So,
Absolutely. And that brings up a point too, is we actually cover 60 days after the event as well. So if something happens, your first thought isn't to say, hey, I want my refund on this money. If your pet just passed away, I mean, I completely understand. I've had it happen to me. It's the most heartbreaking thing in the world. You don't think about asking for a refund right away. So you have 60 days after the event to submit the refund request, and still get the refund. So if you're able to provide like some sort of certificate or things like that, if evidence is taking a little bit further to get, you still have all this time after the event to submit the request. So we have that leeway as well, which is nice.
yeah, that's awesome. And, forget pets. I mean, just a loss of a family member, right? Like, you're not thinking about getting your money back from the water park. You're going to be dealing with that much later. So that's very generous, those 60 days. We have one more question coming in.
Yes. So is Refund Protect available for all types of products and services? So I'm going to assume that this is what applies to whatever is in the cart at the time of purchase.
Yes. As long as it's all in the purchase, in the cart, then yes, we can protect it. So anything that is the total value. So if there's like 5 tickets, a cabana, 3 fast passes, anything that is in the cart can be protected. If there's like one individual that can't make it, we can offer a partial refund. If the entire family can't make it, we can offer the full refund. So we can kind of look further into the situation to see what we need to do. So whether it's one kid can't make it, but the rest can, so you just want one ticket refunded, we can offer a partial refund for that. If there's, there's all sorts of things. So obviously if one kid can't make it, then there's one meal voucher that can't be paid and one fast pass that can't be used. So we can work with the customer on all those circumstances, and all of those would be protected.
Well, what I think is interesting about all types and services, because you're right, we can cover anything that's in that purchase. I think the only caveat to that is reservations, because those are not considered a purchase today. They're a in some cases we're only collecting a deposit. So I think for Gatemaster clients watching this right now, that might be the only thing that we're not offering protection on, because at that point we don't know what the products are going to be. if there's a deposit. Those could change between now and the time that that event takes place. But, you know, usually with those kinds of events, we're talking corporate events, we're talking birthday parties. I mean, there's a lot of planning that goes into that, and you can work with that customer. Oftentimes the refund policies on something like that is very different. They can move the days of the reservation. So there's so many other things that we can do to help you with that. But I think that's the only, maybe the only type of item that's not protected, only because at that point we don't know what the items are. We're just taking a deposit. So,
and if there is a non-refundable deposit, that's something that also can be Refund Protect can be offered on a non-refundable deposit. Now, if it's able to be moved and things like that, then and they've purchased Refund Protect, you can actually move Refund Protect to the new reservation date. So there's some things that we can still work with that, but like you said, yeah, it's a little different, but we could always talk about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any other questions?
One from me, right?
Okay.
So Morgan, what would be your best advice to a park that is hesitant on implementing Refund Protect? It could be like a 30-second elevator pitch, or just what's your advice?
I think my only advice would be what's stopping you. It's more of a question than advice. What's the hesitation? This is going to be something that's going to create revenue, protect your current revenue, protect your customers, and also just create, and like I said earlier, enhanced reputation. So there's really nothing that, in my opinion, should stop you from doing it. If there's any reason that the service is not what you want or you're not comfortable with, you're always welcome to turn it off. You could do a 30-day trial. It's really up to you on how. I get it when it is your business and your park, there is things to consider, and there's a reason to have hesitancy. It's like your baby, right? It's how you operate things. You want everything to run smoothly, but we see super high success in this. We see high conversion. Actually, this is one of the highest conversions that we see in all the industries that we work in. So we're seeing that customers absolutely love this. They're loving the opportunity for it, and it's really just something that's enhancing your park more than hurting your park.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. Why aren't you doing this, right? And I think some of that is education, which is why we're here today, right? To educate not only our partner base, but also, you know, those potential partners that might want to work with Gatemaster, and also influence other partners, because we know if Protect Group does well, we do well, right? Because there's so much happening that goes beyond attractions businesses. You mentioned some of the adjacent industries that you're working with, and I think they are travel and leisure and concerts. But you're right, because this industry is primarily families and destinations, and people are having to purchase in advance in order to have these experiences. And oftentimes that is a big, just the tickets alone are a big investment, not to mention if you need hotels and flights and all of the other things. And hopefully take a little bit of that burden off of the customer in the event that something happens where they need a refund or they cannot attend these parks. So Morgan, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you being so generous with your time. Appreciate you sharing all of what Protect Group is trying to do to support attractions. And if I just want to make sure we're not cutting anybody off for questions, but if there are no other questions, we're going to have this sent out to all. So if you're receiving this, it's because you are a Gatemaster partner attraction. And we are looking to help you understand why we've made this move to partnering with Protect Group, how it benefits you. And if there are any other questions that you have, you know, please don't hesitate to reach out to the team. There is a conversation to be had about this. If it's something you're not comfortable offering, the question is why? What can we do to get you the information so that you can make the best decision for your park? That's ultimately what this is about here today, and where we are for you in the future if something comes up. Both Morgan, myself, and my team are here to help you. Morgan, any final thoughts? And then we're going to sign off.
No, just like, thank you so much for having me. This partnership's been really amazing. And I love the fact that we're being able to offer these customers some flexibility and some security in their purchases. And I'm loving to see how well this is actually working in the industry as well. So I'm happy that we get to do this with you guys. I'm happy that we get to offer this for parks and for customers. And like you said, I'm happy to help in any way that I can, answer any questions that I can, and make people feel more comfortable in exploring our product.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. One last question I have. Are you going to be at Arrival San Diego?
I don't know, actually. I don't know. I'll have to look. But we'll see.
In September, there's an event, a conference event for attractions and tourism. And if you guys end up being there, let me know, because I will be there. So if you're watching and you plan to attend, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to see you. But also, I know oftentimes Protect Group attends these events. And, if you have questions there, we can try and get them solved for you too. Let me know if you guys are, if Protect Group plans to be there. Otherwise, I am happy to be the representative that we need to answer those questions for anybody who's attending there. And that's happening at the end of September in San Diego. So signing off, thank you to everybody. Thank you to my team for making today happen. Thank you to all of you who are joining us, who've watched this, who've taken the time to educate yourself on how you can better serve your guests, because this is what this is about, is making sure that your attraction are massively successful at what you do. And if there's anything that we can do to help assist you with that, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here for you. Thank you to everybody who showed up. Thank you, Morgan. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye.